Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Ifeoma Odunlami. I am an immigration attorney from the Odunlami law firm, and I'm pleased today to come in with a topic that I know will be of importance to you. So please join me and let's have a chat for the next 23 minutes. So, as you guys know, I am not only an immigration attorney, I am also an immigrant. So, immigration is so personal to me. My family and I are immigrants. None of us we were not born here. We came in here. We got our green cards, ultimately our citizenship, and that's what I'm trying to do for my fellow immigrants. So please join me and let's get started. Um, don't forget to let me know that you're here on the chat so that I can give you a shout out. So, you guys, I come in once a week with a live. I try to answer questions. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that when I come in, you are notified. So today I'm going to be talking about something that was in the news, and I want to relate it to um, the work we do here. Hi, Toyemo. Hi, Glory. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me. So nice to see you guys here. So, did you guys? I think it was last week we got this in the news. We heard that Kiki Palmer had filed, I think, a restraining order against her boyfriend and the father of her child for physical abuse, right? So I remember when the first incident happened where she was dressed, in a certain outfit, and she went to see an Usher concert, and he had tweeted something to the effect like, "You're a mom, though." Basically, he was shaming her publicly, because he was not happy about the way she was dressed. And I remember thinking at that time, and I remember talking to a friend of mine who was in an abusive relationship, that I bet you there's a lot of abuse going on in that relationship. And I was right. Because people always assume that abuse is only physical, somebody shoving you. But I tell you this, by the time somebody is hitting you, shoving you, being physical with you, there's already a lot of non-physical abuse going on, where they're trying to beat down your spirit before they beat down your person, right? And this happens to both men and women. So domestic abuse is not gender specific. It happens to men, it happens to women, it happens in parental relationships, it happens in heterosexual relationships, it happens in homosexual relationships. Abuse is not specific to any category, right? So the reason I'm talking about this today is because I want to talk about the non-physical abuse that people suffer, but they're not aware that it's abuse, and that if they file a petition, they could get their green card. They could file a VAWA petition, which is, VAWA is Violence Against Women's Act. Like I've said before, it applies to men, it applies to women, it applies to children, right? The VAWA comes filing a VAWA petition is really available to people who have an immediate relative who's been abusive towards them, right? Or you may already have had your green card and you're looking to remove the conditions on your green card, which typically you're supposed to remove with your spouse, but there's abuse in the relationship and you can do that on your own with a waiver, right? But the important thing is that you have to be able to identify abuse, because a lot of times, a lot of us that work with victims of abuse, we can pinpoint it right away. When I have somebody tell me, my spouse is refusing to show up at the interview, my spouse does not want me talking to people, does not want me sending money to my family, Instantly, my radars are up and I want to know more. And ultimately, there's a lot more going on. And what you want to know is this: you can get your green card either when you're filing your VAWA petition or you're removing your conditions by proving abuse that is not physical. You do not need a physical, you do not need to have physical abuse to be able to win an abuse case. So what I'm going to talk about today are the different types of non-physical abuse, right? And the thing is, for a lot of us immigrants, some things we think some things that are culturally acceptable where we're from, we don't term it as abuse. For instance, if Kiki, I'm Nigerian by the way, so if say Kiki was Nigerian, right, and she wore that outfit, went somewhere and her husband tweeted that, there will not be a lot of Nigerians thinking that that was abusive behavior. They'll be like, why is she dressing like that? She's a married woman. She's a mother, right? Now, in America, there was an uproar. A lot of people saw what it was. They saw it for what it was. It was abusive behavior. You know, shaming your spouse, shaming your significant other in public. Like he couldn't have said this to her before he left. And the bottom line when you're looking at non-physical abuse, because I want you guys to listen to this. When you're looking at non-physical abuse, right, you want to ask yourself, how is this person manifesting power and control over me, right? So let's look at Kiki's situation where her her boyfriend had a problem with the way she was dressing and tweeted it out to the public, basically, and then said something about him being the man of the house. Now, this was a way to control her, right? Basically telling her what to wear. And he didn't like the fact that she was at the Usher concert. So this was him trying to get people to support him against her, right? So there is the control. So when you have a spouse who refuses to show up at your interview, when they know that that's the way you're going to be able to stay in the United States, you're going to be able to work in the United States, and they take this very important interview and use it as a way of controlling you, you have to know that that's abusive behavior, right? Think about it. If there's if the control there is they want you to act a certain way, they want you to do certain things, and if you don't do that, they're going to stop you from getting something that you want because they feel that they have the power and they have the control. And another way, power and control manifests itself is by, excessive jealous behavior, going through your phones, going through your social media, making, horrible remarks about their partner, talking about their partner to other people with the intention of humiliating them, because that's what Kiki's boyfriend was doing, with the intention of humiliating her in public, because Kiki is a star, right? So if you're in a situation where you're being treated in this way, somebody is wielding power and control over you, you should talk to an attorney. And if you're married to this person and they're, a US citizen or green card holder, you may be able to get your green card. And if you have your green card already and it's a temporary green card and you're looking to remove your conditions, you may be able to remove your conditions on the waiver of abuse, right? So let's talk about other non-physical abuse. There's rejection. You have that spouse who basically, by just being, I guess there's the brooding behavior where anything you do irritates them, right? You can't do anything right? And they take attention away from you to let you know that they're displeased, so that you're begging for attention, right? You're walking around, you're walking around them trying to, not knowing what to do because they're upset all the time. Everything about you irritates them, right? They don't want to talk to you. They ignore you. And, while you're there seeking attention, right? Trying to please them. But they want to make sure that you're walking around them, just, it's like you're walking around, trying to figure out what to do not to upset them, right? So rejection, taking attention away from that person, because you know that you can, by taking away the attention, you can get them to behave in the way you want them to behave, right? A lot of people don't know that this is abusive conduct, right? Especially when it creates an atmosphere of toxicity in the home, right? So that's another example of non-physical abuse, right? Now let's talk of isolation. Isolation, when your spouse does not want you talking to your family, talking to your friends. They want to be the only person who you have any communications with. That way they can really control you. They can really make sure that they're in charge of everything that you're doing. They can tell you what to do. They don't want anybody else talking to you and trying to get you to see that you're in an abusive relationship, right? Now, another way of non-physical abuse is gaslighting. I don't think let me speak for myself. I never knew what that word was until 2016. Gaslighting. When your spouse tries to act like everything is your fault. This would not have happened, but for you, you're the reason this happened. They make you feel like you're going crazy, right? And so all of these things happen to you and you just feel unhappy and you feel isolated, you feel miserable, you feel that, you don't know what to do to make this person happy because they're talking down at you, they're criticizing what you're wearing, and they make it seem as if they're doing it for your own benefit, right? They're they body shame you. You would look better if you lost a few pounds, or they mock the way you speak. They tell you you don't speak English, or when you're in a group of people, they don't let you talk because they want you to feel embarrassed because you have an accent. They make you self-conscious, right? They make you feel little, right? All of this are tactics of intimidation. It's a way somebody wields their power and control. And the thing is, when you have somebody who is filing your paperwork for you, in trying to get your green card for you, as an immigrant, that person will, if they don't file that paperwork, it will make it more difficult for you to get your papers. And they know it as well. So there's already this, disparity in power, right? And when they use that power to, to control you, it's abusive. Trust me on that. And when they're able to get you to a place where you're a shadow of yourself, sometimes the physical abuse steps in. But there are people who are able to wield emotional, psychological, verbal abuse without lifting a hand on you. And it's just as devastating. And it's just as cruel. So if you're somebody who is in a relationship such as the ones I've mentioned, because there's a whole lot of bad behavior, abusive behavior, such as threatening even your pet, threatening to shame you in front of your family, at family gatherings, always passing out like little snarky remarks about you, about what you do, what you don't do, where it's supposed to be a joke, right? But it's not a joke. And that person who's passing those remarks, no, it's not a joke because it's designed to hurt you, but they gaslight you, or you're too sensitive. It's only a joke, right? So that's another form of non-physical abuse. And then there's intimidation, where they're threatening you. I'm going to call ICE. I'm going to have you deported. Then you won't be able to see the children. I'm going to come show up at your job, and then you lose your job, right? Or you have the spouse that is afraid that if you improve yourself by going to school or by getting a work permit, you're going to leave them. So they begin to sabotage your attempts to get yourself into legal status. They hide their documents, right? And they won't give you the stuff you need. They won't take pictures. They won't open a bank account with you, knowing fully well that these are the stuff that USCIS is looking for. And on the day of the interview, they say they're not going. Or they tell you, know what, I just need to go down the road, I'll be back, and they don't show up. That's extremely abusive behavior because it's control. It's all about power and control. So if something is happening to you and you're not sure if it's abusive, ask yourself, how does this wield power and control over me? What is the intent of this person in this behavior? And if you see there's power and control, it's abusive behavior, right? And then there's also like financial abuse, which is very common, especially with men. There's a lot of men who are in financially abusive situations where the wife is like, they want all these things that their spouse cannot afford, right? And basically, if the spouse doesn't buy it, then there's that, they feel like, well, you're not doing this for me. I'm not going to do this for you. I'm the reason you're here. I'm the reason that you have a work permit. And if you're not working and giving me something to make me happy, then I'm not going ahead with it with the petition, right? Or they make you work 2 jobs because one job is not bringing enough money and they want you to work another job. And a lot of the times they're not even working, or if they're working, their money belongs to them. There's not a joint pot where everybody's putting money together to for the whole household expenses. Their money is theirs, and then you pay all the bills. And you're afraid because you feel like, well, if I don't do this, she won't, she will withdraw the petition. And if she withdraws the petition, well, I wouldn't have any authorization to work. I wouldn't have my legal status. But what you need to know is there is something called VAWA, which addresses abusive behavior. And VAWA calls it extreme cruelty. So it's really clear. It says physical abuse or extreme cruelty. A lot of people think that if you don't have physical abuse, that you don't have a good VAWA case. Let me tell you, most of the cases in my firm are, extreme cruelty, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, psychological abuse, financial abuse, and we win those cases. So don't believe anyone who tells you this, that you need to have a police report or you need to have physical abuse or pictures. Of course, those help if you have those. But if you don't have them, your declaration, your explanation about what you've been through, how you feel like you're walking around on eggshells around this person, how this person is always angry, always upset, abandons you for days, knowing fully well that you have no income, cannot get food, cannot leave the house, and comes in when they feel like, or they're constantly accusing you of cheating when you go to work, come to your workplace to embarrass you and, get you fired from your job so that you're now dependent on them, right? So if all of these things that make you feel so horrible are happening to you, right, you could file a petition based on VAWA, or if you already have your green card, you could remove your conditions on your own without your spouse on this waiver of abuse. So let's see if I think I have time to answer a couple of questions, and then I will head out because I have something at 2:30. So let's see. I don't see any questions here, guys. Do you okay, I think that's one. So Martin Kido says, what chance have I, F1 student at the law school, to become a green card holder? So Martin, to become a green card holder, there are different pathways. It's as an F1 student, you can finish school, get your, OPT H1. If you're married to a US citizen or green card holder, they could file for you at any time, even as an F1. You can have an employer file for you. Depending on where you're from, you could, you know, participate in the diversity lottery. If you've been a victim of a crime, you can file the U visa. If you've ever been trafficked, there's a T visa. Um, what else? There are just many ways of getting a green card. So for an F1 student, a lot of times it's the employment route, right? You finish school, you get on your H1B, which is good for 6 years, 3 years at a time. You have an employer who is invested in you and wants to file a green card petition for you. A lot of people get their green cards that way. Or depending on what you study, and if you have special skills, that's also another way. So yeah, I hope that helped. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see if I can answer one more question. One Sharon said, that's right, controlling spouse is like being with somebody and you're living for them, not for you. One Sharon, you're exactly right. Control is the basis. Power and control is the basis of abuse. Okay, power and control is the basis for abuse. If you're being controlled by your spouse, um, you know, that's abuse. If you're being controlled, even by your children, you have children who are U.S. citizens, who are abusive towards their parents. They threaten them that they're going to call ICE if the parents are undocumented. They're extorting them for money. That's all abusive behavior. All right. So, okay, guys, it's 2:28 and I don't see any questions, but thank you guys for joining me. Hi, Desmond from Orange, New Jersey. Thank you guys for joining me. I hope this live was of benefit to somebody, but the most important thing is you need to understand that you don't need an abusive spouse to get your green card, right? The law made it such that you have a way out. All right. You're not supposed to be in a horrible relationship, a horrible marriage just because you want to get a green card. There are ways out. And if you need my assistance, please call my office. We're here to help. 973-993-1900. All right, guys, take care. And I will be back next week.